And welcome back to part 2 of the Motorola MDT video. If you remember from the previous video here, we unboxed this beautiful little system right here and discovered that it had some shipping damage. What you can see here is that the keyboard is coming loose here, but you can see this peg that's right here. What's happened is that this took a good hit and the top portion of the keyboard assembly is broken loose, and it took a pretty bad hit in this corner over here. What I'm going to do is I have to pull the unit apart to get at that just so I can start doing repairs. So I thought this would be a fantastic example of something to tear apart. So you guys can follow along for the ride as I try to get into the keyboard here. And let's take a look at the electronics internally on this as well a little bit. I really want to see exactly what's different between the 9100 T series unit and the 9100 386 I have, which is supposedly the better spec'd unit. Now, I would like to say many thanks out to Tremel, I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong here, Tremel Hudson and his friend Fuki for photographing the inside of their T-Series unit. So I now have a vague idea of what I'm expected to find inside and a little bit of how this thing comes apart. So let's get out some screwdrivers and let's start digging into this system here right now. Actually, before we do that, let's gather up all the broken components we've grabbed so far and let's put those into a small bag. That way, when it comes to the repairing, I can glue some of that together before slathering it in epoxy to make sure it never breaks again. Okay, so we're going to work here with camera 3 directly above me. And let's flip the thing over, because the first thing I want to do is see how you get at it from the bottom. Okay, so, So what I'm seeing here is there's this module right here, and this is supposedly the actual RF radio portion of the unit, and then there's a custom-made bracket here. And this is like, you can't see this on the camera, but this here is a shade of brown that's not here. So I'm assuming this is a two-piece unit. So I'm going to start off with taking off the metal bracket. And then I see screws there. Actually, can I... Okay, yes. So the CRT unit here, as I have nuts and bolts fall out here, the CRT unit here is currently in the way of removing the keyboard itself. Kind of. Oh, no. Can I? Okay, yes, I can do this very carefully because it's broken. And there is a captive clip back here. If I can just get that out. There we go. Okay, so we have the keyboard off. So now I have these 5 studs here, which I need to be careful about and not unscrew, and this fragile ribbon cable. But I gotta get the CRT assembly off here first, and I am seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here, and I see a 5th one underneath the radio. So yes, definitely we gotta go in from the bottom on this one here. And off that goes. And yes, these screws here go straight through this plate here, but I'm still seeing 2 more screws hiding here. Organize these screws a little bit. Okay. And supposedly this really is only a couple of screws to tear this thing down completely, so I'm assuming a device like this is very easy to service. There's that one there. Two screws, and that's loose now. Let's just bracket it, or... Okay, there it is. I see a ribbon cable. So if I flip this over, I have this cable here, And it looks like it's just in a socket, so if I grab this tab and pull, and that comes right out. Okay, so first part out is the radio module. It actually just says it's a DOC model number, yeah, D3111LP 9100-386. So I'm assuming here is that this is the box which goes and converts the incoming and outgoing radio signal to a digital format here. And I believe there's probably a modem that's buried further inside of this unit. But the network these use is a trunk radio network with a level of encryption. If you look up at Crypto Museum, they do actually mention that the encryption that is used on these initially was weak, to say the least. And so we ended up with, by the mid-'80s, the system had already been hacked. So people, well, not so much hacked, but cracked. If you wanted to listen in on one of these networks, sure, that was easy enough. Okay, so there's 6 screws here. And then, and does that just, yep, okay, it does separate. And there's our CRT. And it's solid, too. The tube has not necked. Excellent. And what do I see here? Okay, there's the ribbon cable. That looks like it's screwed into something. But there's an RF, there's a coaxial lead over here. Let's see if I can get that out. I bet you this is the video signal unless it's running on this ribbon cable. But that seems like a bad idea to be running video over a ribbon cable like that. Now, can I pull these screws out? No, I gotta release this first. How does this come out? Ah, okay. So there's another plug here. That unplugs there, and and this unplugs here. All right. And as I have screws fall away, the CRT module separates from, I guess, the logic module. And I'm going to put these over here in an organized fashion. These are coarse thread screws. There's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And yes. Okay. Yes. The CRT is intact. So it didn't take a hard hit. It's actually quite clean in here. There's no dirt. Okay. So it looks like the moisture incursion prevention and dust protection's done a good job here. Excellent. Yeah, cool. And yeah, I'm almost positive now this is video. But let's keep going on this. Do I want to pull this apart? That has torque screws on it. I don't have a torque screwdriver. Oh, do I have one? No. I don't have the right driver with me right now. So let's leave this off to the side for now. I think our critical thing to reach to tonight is the logic board. And this is pretty clean as well. Oh, I see. Okay, yes. So it is draining down there. And it does drain down into here. So indeed, this is dirty, this is muddy, this is a complete mess. But underneath it there, because there are drains on the keyboard, my suspicion is right, and they built this so it could do that. So there's actually a grill here on the bottom, and it just drained out through there. So the actual electronics should be dry. And there's a fan in here too. Can I pull that out? Nah, it doesn't even want to come out yet. 2 screws here. Let's try this first. All right, and these are smaller screws. Same here. And how does this come out? This is just held in by friction. Let me just pry around the edge. Oh, okay, that's easy enough. All right, and off that comes. Oh, this wire, and this wire just comes out. Easy, easy peasy. Neat, we're in. All right, let's see if I can get this ribbon cable out of the way. Because something tells me I'd rather not have that break. And that's another screw of the same size. Another screw of the same size. And does this just... Okay. Yep, okay, yep. So this is one ribbon cable assembly here with this fancy connector in the middle. This side goes to the CRT. This side goes to the keyboard. And there's a couple of shared leads in the middle here of this. So I'm assuming this also serves the keypad. All right, now how do we get this out? Can I pull the fan out yet? No, fan still doesn't want to come out. Put that there. Another similar size, identical size screw. There's that. Oh, it wants to... I think it wants this bracket over here removed as well. Okay, 1. And 2. Is there any more screws on this? I feel like I'm fighting something here. Oh, there's more screws under here. Okay. Can't really reach that one, but... Okay. I'll leave that. There's another one, and I can see the board starting to flex when I took those screws out, so this should be it here. Once these 2 screws come out. I also want to know what's underneath here. I think it's a battery pack. Which also then raises the question, has the battery leaked? Well, we'll see. Okay. And that's that screw out. Okay, so we have a bunch of screws. These are different sizes. Okay. Let's go over there. All right, and oh, and there was another screw that fell out. And I'm not seeing any other plastic chunks, so I think I got them all. But does this just lifts right out? Excellent. And okay, there's our DC input right here, and there's our battery right there. So this looks like the sandwich that makes up our CPU and logic assembly. I'm going to put that over there for the moment. Let's see if we can get to that battery. I've got to be careful of that because that's so ready to break. This is... The bottom of this is metal, by the way. Again, the only thing that broke on this is the actual plastic part of the unit. Everything else held up well. Come on. Is there another way to get that out? Metal tabs, which are, and there we go. Oh, and there we go. And it hasn't leaked either. Cool. Let's see, 48-hour charge, backup nickel cadmium battery. Warning, do not dispose of battery in fire. 7.2 volts, 350 milliamp hours. Date code 139. I have no clue what that means. 2013, maybe, the last time it was checked in September or replaced. Interesting. It's got foam down here. It doesn't seem to have decayed. It's the more rigid stuff. It is sticking to that. Okay, well, battery's there. And can I get that fan out? How is this fan held in? Is there a screw I'm missing here? No. Or is it just held in really well? Okay. Oh, there we go. I felt that. There we go. How is that? Okay, there's a set of locking clasps that I can't reach. And I'm bending them. Oh, no, there we go. So those just kind of slide in there and lock in. Is it actually seized? Oh, no, it's not seized. Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to put that off to the side. There's nothing else in the bottom of the unit, so I'm going to put that off to the side and switch it out for the main computer again. All right, so this is familiar territory to me from those photos. So what we're looking at here, this is SCSI, serial, some sort of interface port right here. I believe this is for another radio. Supposedly, there's parallel port on this. Now, I'm looking at this 25-pin port here, but it's the wrong gender. Maybe it's assumed that it's crossover for lap link or something like that. This is going to require some research. But otherwise, it's obvious. Reset button here, PC speaker here. There's a coil here, which actually has a broken zip tie on it. I'll have to fix that. And there's a couple of small 47 microfarad 25 volt capacitors from Nishikon. Okay. But they're not leaking, so that looks pretty clean. That looks good. Tantalum here, and this entire section here is just the DC circuit. Excellent. And can I... Okay, to open it even further, I have to get into... Ooh, let me... Okay, first off, let's see if I can get this off. So how does this come off? I just kind of... Trying not to break this, because that would suck. Very carefully pry up. Let's see if I can... There we go. The other side here pops off. Cool. Okay, so that giant connector that's on the bottom of the unit, this thing right here, that's actually, it looks like it shares with the main bus connector here, which goes across. Now, I'm not going to say this is PCI, microchannel, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Really, in these like very proprietary custom applications, they'll simply use whatever Amphenol connector or whatever kind of connector they'll want to use. But that's how it's connecting the two together. So I'll put that there. And how do you come apart? Let's try with the bottom here. These little... They want to put up a fight. Okay, but it does just pop off like that by the looks of it. Am I missing? Oh, there we go. And, ooh, I see something, and I'm kind of excited about it because it's good news. Here we go, and one more, and there we go. So I'll separate that off for now. DC board right here, flip it over, and I'm fairly certain, let me zoom in. I'm fairly certain what we're looking at right here, which is quite dusty, is the radio modem itself, mainly MDD 5001. I looked that up quickly. It points back to the MDT, according to Google, but it's also been apparently used in radio modem applications. There's a bit of flash memory up here. There's an MC68HC microprocessor here. There's a large amount of power, of computing power going on right here standalone, and that is plugging in through this connector right here, which is close enough to this that I'm going to say more than likely this and this are going to be shared, and then we still have this mystery bugger right here. More research is required, but I'm not going to pull that apart because that looks like a mess to do. But let's look at the PC board here. So the back side of the board here, really nothing all that impressive. Just minor glue, so I'm going to flip it over, and then things get important. Wow, okay, so the first significant change I'm seeing here between the 9100T unit and the 9100 386 unit. In the T unit here, we have these RAM chips, MCM 54400. I'm almost certain this is one bank of 4 megabytes in here, but there's also silk screening and solder pads for 30-pin RAM sims or RAM sim slots. And here they are. This model includes the RAM sim slots. So you can upgrade the RAM in this thing to like, I don't know, like 8 megs? Even that's totally, for a 386, that's totally fine. You can run Windows, you can run DOS stuff in here, no problem whatsoever. And let me zoom in here a bit more. And down here, we have 4 Intel flash chips. I do believe this thing has, what was it, 4 megabytes of onboard flash memory. I know there's onboard flash memory on here, as well as we also have the PCMCIA slots, which are in the 386 model as well. So I think what we can do here probably is that we can, if we can't boot directly from PCMCIA, we boot the system from flash memory, and then once the driver for card services is loaded, you then basically have everything hand over to a C drive on a compact flash card that's plugged into there. Fantastic. And what else do we got? And hiding inside of here as well is the same CPU as the T-Series unit, AM386SX, SXL. It's a 25 megahertz 386 basically. It's not a good performer. It has no onboard coprocessor, but it gives you the 386 instruction set, which is already fantastic because it then allows for protected memory, which is really handy in some cases here. What else do we have here? I'm seeing this chip here, but this chip here is new. AM33C93A. That sounds familiar. Okay, so I'm coming from Western Digital naming here, where there's the WD33C93, and that's a SCSI controller. I know in the T-Series unit this chip is absent, but in this unit here, we have the chip. This is probably the SCSI controller living right here. This might even be the SCSI BIOS right here, I'm not sure. But, okay, so that's what that is. And then we do have the surrounding glue here. Ah! There's another thing that's changed on this unit as well. So now what I have us zoomed in on right now is we have this chip, these 4 chips, and this chip right here. First off, this is a Brooktree RAM DAC chip. This is basically what's converting digital to analog out. So this is more than definitely your video output right here. This here is a Chips and Technologies F82C450 simple VGA controller. So we do have VGA available inside the unit. I believe off the top of my head, you could configure this video chipset with 256 kilobytes or 512 kilobytes of video memory. That's not bad. Remember, we're dealing with a basic, let's say like 640 by 480, 60 hertz refresh. You're fixed on that there, you're totally fine. But I noticed on the T-Series, half of these chips here were missing. On this one, we're fully populated. These are MCM 54400ANC70. This is DRAM. So I'm pretty sure what we're looking at here is the video memory. So we have twice the video memory on here. So what is that, 512K? It's a very good thing, very good thing. The other thing it could be also is that it's the same DRAM as the stuff over here. I don't know, parity? I'm gonna have to do some research into that. But I can definitely see that there's traces leaving the video chipset and going into here, then going into here. Okay, so we're just gonna say it's video memory right now. And for those of you also who wanted to see it, there is some crystal oscillators here, 14.318 and 7.3728. This is all surface mounted here. It's quite fantastic. And of course, we'll finish this off with the Motorola logo, which has been silk screened onto the board. Okay, well, that's it. I've now gone and completely stripped the MDT down. We've gone and taken a look at some of the electronics that are inside of it. We've made a couple of nice discoveries at the same time, so if you want to get an MDT yourself, you need to get yourself the 386 model, not the T unit. I'm not entirely sure about the WS unit, but the 386 is giving us like SCSI, RAM expansion, even more video memory possibly. So this is a very good system. without having to hack or like put in not even a Raspberry Pi or some sort of Linux environment. You can do a very powerful MS-DOS system between the seats of your car, just like that. So I don't want to dig into the CRT unit simply because that's a mess, and really right now I don't have the tools to do so. But I'm going to go and do some cleaning on this, and maybe we're going to make a follow-up video to see if I can power this thing on and see what the heck happens. Otherwise, see if I can get something booting on this. Heavens knows. But anyways, that there was a teardown of the Motorola MDT 9100 386 series machine. Here it is before you. I hope you enjoyed watching this teardown, and until next time, have a good one.